Hey guys, and welcome. One of my favorite type of movies are the ones where the twist is so clever and so unpredictable. It leaves me googling who came up with the idea for the movie, and if the acting is good, there's tension present throughout the movie, and the dialogue sounds like the screenwriter has had a conversation with a real human being before, then those are not easy to come by. Which is why I wanted to make a video about 5 movies that I hope you haven't seen, have a great twist to them, and don't get talked about enough. Keep in mind, I will be talking about the twists, as not disclosing what they are would kind of defeat the purpose of this video, but I will try my best to learn how to use timestamps, so if a movie piques your interest, hopefully you can skip to the next recommendation and save yourself from finding out what the twist is. So on that note, let's dive in. Number 1, Hard Candy. It starts like every internet safety PSA your parents ever warned you about. A teenage girl meets an older guy online. They grab a coffee, and you immediately feel the red flags and alarm bells going off. You think you know where this is going. The young girl is starved for attention and validation, and the older, successful man is ready to give her just that. It's a tale as old as time. She thinks she just matured earlier than her peers and can't find anyone to connect with, and he's the only one to recognize that she's no longer a child, but a young woman with complex thoughts and captivating observations. But the next minute, she's tying up a grown man and reading him the list of his sins like a prosecutor. Suddenly, the predator is sweating, the victim is smirking, and you realize that this is not at all what you thought the movie was going to be like. What makes it so fascinating is how gradually the power shift happens. There's a lack of cues in terms of music or really any foreshadowing. Just a slow, creeping realization that you've just misjudged everything. The walls end up systematically closing in. Haley doesn't need a weapon. She's armed with certainty, purpose, and that makes her pretty terrifying. And the movie doesn't let you off the hook either. The twist isn't just in the story, it's in you. You start out with moral clarity, but the longer you watch, the murkier it gets. You find yourself thinking things you probably shouldn't, sympathizing with people you swore you wouldn't, and questioning what justice looks like to you. It's kind of genius how it plays with your sympathy. You go from, oh, this poor girl, to, wait, she's insane, to honestly, maybe he deserves it. That's a great thing about Hard Candy, realizing that the line between justice and cruelty is razor thin, and this movie will test where you fall. The film never tells you how to feel, but it's a great tool to help you reflect. Number 2, Frailty. Frailty is one of those movies that sneaks up on you. It starts small, quiet, almost wholesome. A father raising his 2 sons in small-town America. Everything feels normal, grounded, even comforting in that hazy late 70s kind of way. Then the father sits his boys down one night and says, very calmly, that God has chosen him to destroy demons disguised as humans. Way to drop a bomb on your unsuspecting kids. The beauty of Frailty is how ordinary it all feels. Bill Paxton, who also directed the movie, plays the father with this unsettling sincerity. He doesn't come across as a raving lunatic. He's a loving father who just happens to believe he's been given a divine hit list. He doesn't look possessed. He looks faithful, convicted, like the guy next door who mows his lawn and waves to you every Sunday, and then goes to his shed to carry out God's work. So you find yourself stuck watching these 2 boys try to process what's happening. One convinced his dad has lost his mind, and the other starting to believe he might actually be right. And as a viewer, you're caught between them. You want to call it madness, but there's just enough eerie, inexplicable detail to make you wonder if maybe, just maybe, he is chosen. And then comes the twist. Everything you thought you understood about who was telling the truth and who was the victim, who was insane, it all flips. And then every unsettling moment from earlier makes so much sense. Number 3, Memento. With this one, you start confident, ready for a cool mystery about revenge and grief or whatever. And about halfway through, you realize you've been taking notes on a story that's running backwards. The setup's simple enough. Guy Pearce plays Leonard, a guy hunting for his wife's killer. But there's a problem. He has short-term memory loss. He can't make new memories, so every few minutes, his brain hits reset, which, as you can imagine, makes detective work a nightmare. His system for keeping track of things? Tattoos, Polaroids, and an alarming amount of blind faith in his own handwriting. Needless to say, people will take advantage of him, and he will believe them over and over again. He will be so certain of pieces of intel, he will write them down without context, and then try to extrapolate that data onto the future without really knowing what made him jot it down in the first place. And here's the sick joke. Leonard is one of the most confident idiots you'll ever root for. He writes things like, "Don't believe his lies," on people's photos, then spends the next scene trusting them completely. He's trapped in this endless loop of misplaced certainty. Watching him try to outsmart his own broken brain is tragic, but you want to yell at him to try and figure out a better system for keeping track of his thoughts and events. Like I mentioned earlier, story unfolds backward, scene by scene, so by the time something shocking happens, you've already seen the aftermath. The satisfaction doesn't come from finding out what happens. It comes from realizing how badly you've been duped. The movie kind of gaslights you for 2 hours. To an extent, what the protagonist does due to his disability mirrors real life. Leonard's desperate to find meaning, to give structure to chaos, even if he has to invent it. He tattoos facts on his body, which honestly a terrible idea. I wonder to this day how some of the bits of information made it to being written on his body in permanent ink, and how others got a mere photo with a marker caption. The twist, of course, is that half his truths are complete garbage. We can judge him, but we all lie to ourselves to get through the day. Number 4, Primal Fear. Primal Fear starts off like the kind of movie your parents would watch on a Sunday afternoon. Courtroom drama, murder and mystery, clean suits, and everyone speaking in that TV legal tone that makes you feel like you're supposed to be smarter than you are. A respected archbishop gets murdered, an altar boy's covered in blood, and Richard Gere strolls in, looking like the kind of lawyer who'd defend Satan himself. Then there's Edward Norton, baby-faced, stammering, eyes wide like a deer caught in moral headlights. He's the altar boy, Aaron, and he looks so pure you believe his innocence right off the bat. He's the kind of character that makes you say, "Aw, poor kid," before you even know what's going on. Gere's character, Martin Vale, takes the case for the publicity, because of course he does. He's a lawyer in the 90s with hair so perfect it could get its own spin-off. The whole setup feels predictable at first. Sleazy lawyer redeems himself by saving a sweet kid from the system. You lean back thinking you know the rhythm, you've seen this movie a million times. And then it does a 180. Aaron starts confessing, trembling, crying. You believe every word. You want to believe him. He's fragile in that way people get right before they break. And when he snaps, when that other side of him, Roy, bursts out in a blaze of violence and profanity, you're stunned. A shy altar boy with a split personality? Sure, why not? The 90s were big on plot twists. I guess this is just another one of those. But the twist doesn't come until the end, when Aaron drops the act, drops the stutter, and basically tells Vale, "Yeah, it was all bullshit." That moment is pure evil. His whole meek routine was a performance, and you fell for it, just like Vale did. The look on Gere's face is priceless. A man realizing he's not the smartest person in the room, just the most gullible. Number 5, The Game. It starts out looking like another rich guy drama. Suits, silence, and a man so emotionally constipated you think you've seen this movie before. I guess that's the trend in this video. Michael Douglas plays Nicholas Van Orton, a banker with too much money, clearly miserable, and repulsed by other people's existence. His life is sterile, fine wine, expensive watches, and a personality that screams human spreadsheet. Then his brother, played by Sean Penn, the exact opposite of Nicholas Van Orton, gives him a birthday present, a mysterious game offered by a company called CRS. No instructions, no goal, just a vague promise that it will change his life. And because Nicholas already has everything and is bored out of his mind, he signs up. That's when everything starts to unravel. Nicholas' perfect little world starts to crumble in ways that are way too personal to be coincidence. His house gets broken into, his credit cards stop working, people start knowing things they shouldn't. He tries to pull the strings, but it turns out the strings are tied around his own neck. And every time he thinks he's figured it out, that smug little Douglas smirk creeps in. The movie yanks the rug out again. He's running through alleys in $1,000 shoes, covered in blood and confusion, while shouting, "What does it all mean?" at strangers who definitely don't care. The best part is how the movie gaslights you right alongside him. You start guessing, rationalizing, thinking, okay, this has to be fake. And then something happens that feels a little too real. You don't know if he's being hunted or hazed, if this is therapy or torture. And when he finally snaps, when he's exhausted, filthy, standing on that rooftop, you realize you've been dragged through the same psychological meat grinder. But at the end, everything, all the chaos, all the breakdowns, all the near-death panic, makes perfect sense. It was all part of the game. Surprise! Happy birthday, Nicholas! Nothing says love you, happy birthday like simulated trauma. The game is a masterpiece in psychological sadism, but this gift definitely gave him something he couldn't have gotten himself. The feeling of being alive and losing control in a supervised setting. So those are my 5 picks for movies with some of the best twists. If you have any recommendations of your own, please drop them in the comments down below. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, and I really hope to see you in the next one. Bye.